March to Freedom, Day 3. Welcome back to Dudes Ascend, where we talk about how to elevate ourselves as men. My name is Hamilton, and here we are on Day 3 of our March to Freedom from Porn 30-day challenge. You guys are still with me. You're kicking butt. We're doing this, man. We're quitting porn once and for all for good, and we're doing it together. I'm gonna try to be quick this morning because it's a little bit chilly, it's early, and I'm trying to get this video done before my full day of Zoom classes. I'm actually starting a weekend-long certification course with Mike Dooley, the Infinite Possibilities speaker. I'm getting my certification as an Infinite Possibilities coach, which I'm really excited about, and it's gonna be a weekend-long thing, so I gotta get this video knocked out early this morning. Mike Dooley, if you don't know of him, he's the guy who does the notes from the universe. He's got this email list where you get like daily emails from the universe with little like motivation tips for inspiration. And he was one of the speakers on the documentary of The Secret. So it's really cool, and I think it's gonna open some great doors for me, because I like to uplift and inspire and empower people with my art. I do spoken word poetry and I'm an actor, and my wife and I are love coaches on our channel, Twin Soul Poets. I'm gonna leave the link for that down below, so subscribe to that if you are trying to manifest deep soulful love in your life. We do private coaching to really sink in and get down deep into how to align yourself with the vibration of love. And we've been working with clients from all over the world. So here we are in day 3 of our 30-day challenge, and hopefully you're feeling good. Hopefully you've got your new daily routine of, for me, it's my chanting meditation. I just did it before starting this video, and you're getting grounded. You're grounding yourself, getting your feet in the ground literally, and you're grounding yourself in your reasons why for quitting porn. And today what I want to talk about is a very important thing, which is to limit your social media time. Limit your time on technology as much as you can, because porn is so almost like inescapable at this point with how much it kind of seeps into our phones and computers, and can be so easy to just go from doing one task to sliding into those old patterns and old habits. So what I mean specifically is things like Instagram, things like TikTok, things like even YouTube sometimes. Being very mindful when we're approaching these things and trying to limit any scrolling time, because it can be way too easy to come across things that are triggering on these apps. When you sink into the science behind what porn addiction really is, at its core, it is really a dopamine addiction. What porn provides your brain is this massive flood of the dopamine, like pleasure chemical, in the reward center of our brain. And porn, what the researchers are calling it, is literally like a super drug, because it's such an intense flood of dopamine, these novel images of potential lovers, right? Like that's the way our brain is registering them, and it gives us this huge rush of dopamine that's almost like incomparable to anything else. But that same button of a dopamine rush is hit from any apps that we have on our phone, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Anytime you see that little notification bell, that's what it's doing. That's why it makes you want to click on it so bad, because it's giving you that little dopamine hit. So ultimately, if we're trying to cure ourselves from this, we have to really start limiting that dopamine switch. And particularly with things like Instagram or TikTok, they're really dangerous for becoming a slippery slope into acting out with porn, because you guys know, if you spend enough time on there, you're probably gonna come across some kind of sexual imagery, whether that's like bikini clad babes or really attractive women dancing things like that. Like, you guys know, you spend enough time on those apps, you're gonna see something like that. And if you have a compulsive habit with porn and sexual imagery, you see one thing like that, and sometimes that's all it takes to flip that switch and send you into addiction mode where you're like, I need more, I need more, I need more. So don't allow yourself to cheat. This is super, super important, where, like, if you don't want to be 5 days in and be like, oh, I haven't watched any porn, but you're spending hours going through, bikini pictures on Instagram and getting yourself excited, or you're just scrolling through TikTok and you're seeing like hot girl after hot girl after hot girl dancing in scantily clad clothes and everything. And the thing is, yeah, you might be porn free, but you're still hitting that dopamine switch. There was one guy that I knew in 12 steps. He's like, don't pump the drug. Don't pump the drug. That's sometimes all it takes is a thought in our head to pump that drug for ourselves and start getting the high, right? And so if you find yourself doing that and you haven't watched any porn, amazing. But if you've been spending time on these social media apps and looking at sexual imagery that is on some degree stimulating that drug for you, it's kind of like an alcoholic being like, oh, I'm sober, I didn't drink any liquor today, I only had 5 beers, right? It's the same drug, but just in a slightly lesser form. So if that's the case for you, you're just going to be making this 30 days that much harder. It's going to be next to impossible to sustain that freedom from porn when you're pumping lesser versions of the drug and that reward center of your brain. We're trying to free ourselves of that dependency completely. So the more you can stay away from it, the better. It's gonna really help you on this journey. Now, I know sometimes this can be challenging. We live in a very technologically driven world where sometimes we can't help having to be on these things. It can become a necessity, especially if you're like me, entrepreneur or an artist or anyone who uses these apps to like further their business, or you're building some kind of entrepreneurial adventure and you have to be on them to make posts and things like that. But if that's the case, really just approach it very mindfully. Use meditation and things like that to write out your to-do list, and when you get on there, be very focused on what you're doing. Make your post and then get out. It's really about not browsing, not spending that time where you're just kind of mindlessly scrolling, because that's a danger zone. And when we're just scrolling, we're getting into that observer, like sort of sponge like state of brain waves, where it's called like the beta brainwave state, where you're just like, you're very open and you're very susceptible to influence. Essentially, like you're in audience mode and you're just receiving whatever's given to you, and your brain is very susceptible to suggestion, to imagery. And if you're getting sexually suggestive imagery thrown at you, you're going to be susceptible to being like, oh, I want more of that, I want more of that. So really, really, really important, guys, to limit this. And for me, I've got this course to focus on today. I'm going to be in Zoom sessions all day focusing on inspiring, uplifting things, moving me towards my dreams. And that is like perfect timing for what I'm trying to do here, because it's giving me a sense of focus and direction on what I'm trying to do in my life, and really taking up my time. Like, I'm not going to have time for just browsing and being bored and looking for entertainment and stimulation. So find something to busy yourself, even if it's like video games, that still is kind of hitting the dopamine reward center in your brain, but it's better. But I say that with a caveat and a warning of, like, know that even a video game, even if it has no sexual imagery or stimulation whatsoever, it's still hitting that dopamine reward. It's still putting you into the beta brainwave, where you're going to be more easily influenced and not thinking creatively, not your prefrontal cortex of like the decision making, is gonna be lowered. And so it's really important to, like, I've found over the years that when I play video games or something, it's really easy for me to go straight from video games almost without even thinking at all to acting out with porn, to looking for some kind of sexual stimulation. Like literally I'd turn the video game off and would sometimes just automatically go to that next. So be really careful about that. If you're playing video games, turn it off and then take like 10 minutes to meditate or do something grounding. Get outside, get your feet in the dirt, and really be mindful about what is the next activity that you're going to directly after that. I hope you guys are still with me here on day 3. I hope you guys are rocking this 30-day challenge, and I hope these tips are really helpful. Really challenge yourself to limit that social media time as we are going through this 30 days. I promise you it's going to be so helpful, and I'm not saying it from like a judgment place, or I'm not ever portraying myself as a master of any of this. I'm sharing something that has tripped me up time and time again. I've been working on this for about 3 to 4 years, moving from porn and being like a daily habit for me, sometimes multiple times a day, to over the years gotten to a point where it's more of like an intermittent thing of like 7 to 10 days without it, and then maybe having a slip. And that has been like I've had to work really hard, and I've tried this experiment thousands and thousands of times and failed thousands and thousands of times. And I'm telling you that the scrolling on these apps is one of the biggest things that will get you into trouble. I know from experience, so I'm trying to share my experience with you guys. I hope this is helpful. Comment in the comments below and let me know how you're doing. Do you have any ideas or advice related to this topic that you found particularly are like slippery slopes for you to avoid? Let me know. Share those, because we're trying to do this together, right? And also, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. The more subscribers that I get, the more eyes that I can get in front of. YouTube algorithm loves to see people subscribing and watching the video all the way through. So I hope you guys are watching all of these videos all the way through to get all of the tips and advice. And it really, really does help Dudes Ascend grow. And the intention here is to help as many other guys and women as possible, because it's not just guys that struggle with this problem. This has really become a pervasive thing, and I want to help as many people as possible. So the more you support this channel, the more you help that cause, and it really does make a difference. Love you guys, and I will see you in the next video on day 4 tomorrow. Let's stay strong, brothers.